chapter. This is Math 3. This is Chapter 6, Section 1. This particular section deals with understanding percents. Understanding percent. What is a percent? A percent is simply a special type of fraction where the denominator is 100. Percent comes from the Latin phrase percentum, which means parts of 100. In this graph here, we see that we have how many parts of 100 are shaded? 57 of the parts are shaded. So you will represent it as a fraction. A percent is a way of using a whole number to represent a fraction, a multiple of 100. So 25% will be 25 over 100. 3% is 3 over 100. 100% is a ratio of 100 over 100. And anything over itself is equal to 1. So 100 means 1 as a decimal. This one here, write the percent as a ratio. So in this one here, we have 44%. They simply put it over 100, and that's all they ask you to do. Mean parts of 100. See, 21 out of 100. Write that as a ratio of 21 over 100, and as a percent, that's going to be 21%. Convert each fraction to percent to a fraction. So I have here worked out 36% is 36 over 100, and that simplifies. You can see 36 and 100 are both even numbers, and it simplifies to 9 over 25. That's a fraction. And then they give us 125%. So you write that as a ratio of 125 to 100, and that simplifies. 25s cancel out. I'm left with 5 over 4. This next one here, convert each percent to a fraction. So here I have 24.5%, and I put that over 100. Notice we have a decimal there in the tenths, so I multiply the numerator and denominator by 10 to clear the decimals. So now I have 245 over 1,000. I know that 5 will go into both of these, so 5's cancel out. And I'm left with 49 over 200 as a fraction. Next one is 33 and a third percent. Write that as a fraction. So I'll put it over 100. I'll put it over 100. Okay. Can't really see that one. No good. There. So I'll put it over 100. And then I convert the numerator to an improper fraction. So what I have here is 100 divided by 3 divided by 100. So you flip the second fraction and multiply. The hundreds cancel out, and I'm left with 1/3. So here, convert the percent to a decimal. So I put it over 100, and then I simply divide. Now you can do this on a calculator. And end up with 0.06. Next one here, I have 78%. So I put that over 100, and then I divide it out. And end up with 0.78. Next one in here I have 135. Convert that to each convert percent to a decimal, so I have the percent. So I put it over 100, and I divide it out to get it in decimal form. And there's my answer there in decimal form. I can do this on a calculator. Next one I have 12.5%. I put that over 100, then I divide it out, and I get 0.125. This one here, I write convert the percent to a fraction and then to a decimal. So I have 77% here. I put it over 100, now it's a fraction. Then I divide it out, now it's a decimal. This one here, you have 4 suits in a deck of cards. From the probability of getting a heart, of choosing a heart from a deck, whether that's a fraction or a decimal. So 25% of the cards in the deck are hearts. So as a fraction, this would be 25 over 100. You simplify that to 1/4, and then they want it as a fraction, and then they want it as a decimal, so you can divide it out, and now it's in decimal form. Convert decimals and fractions to percents. Convert a decimal to a percent. See here, I see 0.05. Right there, that's a fraction. 5 over 100. So 5 over 100, that's the same thing as 5%. Here I have 0.83. So I put it over 100. That's be the same thing as 83%. Right, convert each decimal to a percent. So here I have 1.05. So I rewrite that as a fraction, and I have 1 on 5 over 100. As an improper fraction, that's going to be 1 over 5, 105 over 100. That's the same thing as 105%. Next here is I have 0.075. The 5's in the thousands place, so I put over 1,000. Okay, so I can make this over 100 by dividing both by 10, numerator by 10. So when I divide both by 10, I end up with 7.5 over 100, which is 7.5%. Now they ask us to convert each mixed number, each fractional mixed number, to a percent. So here I have a fraction here. So I divide that out and I get 0.75 here. Then I shift my decimal place 2 places to the right, and I put my percent sign in. Now I have 75%. Next one here I have 11/8. I divide that out to be a decimal, and I shift my decimal place over 2 places to the right, and replace. Then I put my percent sign in, and I have 137.5%. This next one here, write as an improper fraction. That's what I did here. Then I wrote it as a decimal. Then I shifted my decimal point over 2 places, and I have 220%. Next we need one is to write 5/7 as a percent. Sometimes the decimals here, when you divide them out, they repeat. So you just take it out to the thousands place when you do your division on it. So this one here we have 5/7. They do the division. In this case, they round to the thousands place, and then they end up shifting the decimal place 2 places to the right, and they have 71.4. This one here, they want us to convert the fraction to a percent. So I take the fraction here and I divide it out. So 3, gonna put my decimal point right above it. So 3 will go into 10 3 times. 2 times 3 is 9. And it repeats. So I have 0.33 and 1/3. And they want to just change that to a percent. So I shift it over 2 places to the right. 1, 2. And I end up with I have 0.33 and a third, shifted over 2 places, I end up with 33 and a third percent. It could also be written as this here, 33.3, repeating percent.